On June 6, 1992, Springfield, Missouri was celebrating high school graduation. Among the graduates were 18-year-old Stacy McCall and 19-year-old Suzie Streeter. Like many teenagers on graduation night, they spent the evening attending parties with friends and celebrating the beginning of adulthood. The city was alive with excitement, and no one could have imagined that this ordinary night would become the start of one of America's most famous unsolved mysteries. Suzie Streeter lived with her mother, Sherrill Levitt, a 47-year-old cosmetologist known for her friendly personality and dedication to her family. Sherrill had recently renovated her home and was looking forward to the future. Friends described her as independent, hardworking, and caring. Suzie was outgoing and adventurous, while Stacy was known as a responsible and well-liked student. The three women appeared to have normal lives and no obvious enemies. During the night, Stacy and Suzie attended several graduation parties. Their original plan was to spend the night at a friend's house. However, when they arrived, they found the house crowded with guests. At the last minute, they decided to change plans and stay at Suzie's home instead. Around 2 a.m. on June 7, witnesses reported seeing the two girls arrive at the house where Sherrill was already inside. This became the last confirmed sighting of all three women. The next morning, friends Janelle Kirby and Mike Henson arrived at the house to pick up Stacy and Suzie for a trip to a local water park. At first glance, everything looked normal. 3 vehicles were parked outside. The women should have been home. However, when they entered the house, they found it strangely empty. The television was on. Personal belongings were scattered around the rooms. The women's purses were still there. Their money was untouched. Clothing, cigarettes, and keys remained inside. Yet the women themselves were nowhere to be found. Outside the home, there was a broken porch light. The glass globe covering the light had shattered. Unfortunately, before police arrived, friends had swept away some of the broken glass. At the time, they believed they were simply cleaning up a mess. Later, investigators worried that fingerprints or other important evidence may have been destroyed. Inside the house, another curious detail caught attention. The family dog, a Yorkshire Terrier named Cinnamon, was found safe and unharmed. The dog appeared nervous but otherwise fine. Investigators found it strange that the women would leave without taking care of their pet or making arrangements for someone to watch it. As concern grew, family members began calling friends, relatives, and hospitals. Nobody had seen the women. No accidents involving them had been reported. By the afternoon, police were officially investigating a disappearance. Detectives quickly realized they were dealing with a highly unusual case. 3 adult women had vanished from a single home during the same night without leaving any clear evidence behind. When investigators searched the residence, they found no signs of a struggle. There was no blood, no overturned furniture, and no indication that violence had occurred inside the house. The scene appeared almost frozen in time. It looked as though the women had suddenly disappeared in the middle of ordinary activities. One of the strangest elements of the case involved several phone calls received at the house after the disappearances were discovered. Witnesses later reported that the calls contained disturbing and inappropriate comments. Whenever someone challenged the caller or asked questions, the person would hang up. Unfortunately, the calls were never traced, and police could not determine whether they were connected to the disappearance or merely cruel prank calls. The investigation expanded rapidly. Detectives interviewed friends, classmates, co-workers, neighbors, and relatives. Search teams combed nearby fields, forests, lakes, and abandoned properties. Hundreds of tips flooded into police stations. Local media covered the story extensively, and soon national news outlets began reporting on the mystery. As weeks passed without answers, theories emerged. The most common belief was that the women had been abducted sometime during the night. Since all three vehicles remained at the house and personal belongings were untouched, investigators doubted they had left voluntarily. Many detectives believed the women were forced to leave against their will. Witnesses reported seeing unusual vehicles in the area around the time of the disappearance. One of the most discussed leads involved a green van reportedly seen near the neighborhood. Several people claimed to remember the vehicle, leading investigators to search for its owner. However, no evidence ever proved that the van was connected to the case. Over the years, numerous suspects attracted attention. One of the most well-known was Robert Craig Cox, a convicted kidnapper and criminal who was living in the Springfield area at the time. Cox later made statements suggesting he knew more about the disappearance than he admitted publicly. He even claimed the women were dead. However, he refused to provide evidence or details, and investigators were unable to prove his involvement. Another theory focused on a local gravedigger who allegedly made suspicious remarks after the disappearance. Some investigators considered him a person of interest, but no physical evidence linked him to the crime. Like many other leads, the theory eventually stalled. As the case gained national attention, rumors and speculation multiplied. Some people believed the women had encountered someone they knew and willingly opened the door during the night. Others believed multiple offenders were involved because controlling 3 adults at once would have been difficult for a single individual. Despite years of investigation, no theory could be proven. One of the most famous leads involved a parking garage near downtown Springfield. According to rumors and later speculation, the bodies of the women might have been buried beneath the structure before concrete was poured. The theory gained enough attention that investigators examined the possibility years later. However, searches failed to uncover evidence supporting the claim. The Springfield Three case also suffered from several investigative challenges. During the first hours after the disappearance, numerous friends and relatives entered the home before police secured the scene. Some cleaned areas of the house, answered phone calls, and moved objects. Investigators later acknowledged that potential evidence may have been unintentionally destroyed before law enforcement could document everything. As years turned into decades, advances in forensic science provided hope. Detectives periodically reviewed evidence, re-interviewed witnesses, and examined new leads. The case remained active, and authorities repeatedly emphasized that they had not given up. Nevertheless, the central mystery remained unchanged. Families of the missing women continued searching for answers. They participated in interviews, supported awareness campaigns, and encouraged anyone with information to come forward. The emotional toll was enormous. Without answers, they were forced to live with uncertainty year after year. Television documentaries, books, podcasts, and true crime programs transformed the case into one of America's most discussed unsolved disappearances. Millions of people learned about the mystery. Online communities analyzed timelines, witness statements, and suspect theories in hopes of finding the clue that investigators might have missed. Today, more than 3 decades later, the disappearance of Sherrill Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall remains unsolved. No bodies have been found. No one has been charged. No definitive explanation has ever been established. The house where the women vanished has become a symbol of unanswered questions and lost opportunities. 3 women entered a home after a graduation celebration. By sunrise, they were gone. Their cars remained outside. Their purses remained inside. Their futures disappeared overnight. Despite thousands of hours of investigation and decades of searching, nobody knows exactly what happened inside the quiet Springfield neighborhood during the early hours of June 7, 1992. And that is why the mystery of the Springfield Three remains one of the most haunting and enduring unsolved cases in American history.